Right, let's talk 5G. There's a lot of crazy shit going on where basically people are burning down 5G towers and all sorts, and all sorts of other advice coming from all sorts of conspiracy theorists. Now, don't get me wrong, right? I am a conspiracy theorist myself. I believe in all sorts of crazy conspiracies, but when it comes to 5G, it's the only one I have been defending for so long now. I've been defending it for weeks and weeks now, where everybody's turning around and saying to me, hey guys, it's a conspiracy, 5G and COVID-19 are all connected. And it's to do with media as well, because media like to pick and choose on what they say and whatnot, right? So, media tried to explode the fact that Wuhan city, where the virus originated from, was the first city where 5G was tested. Well, that's all great, but what they failed to mention is China has had the 5G infrastructure since 2013. And what I mean by that is, since 2013, China's been using the social credit system, which literally runs on 5G, right? So yeah, they may have not made, put the towers up and XYZ, whatever, but they've been running it on those frequencies. That's how the social whatever system works, how they move data fast, because that's the whole purpose of 5G, right? The 5G moves data much more rapidly than any other transfer rate at this present moment, right? So it's faster than your cable line, your Wi-Fi, or whatever you want to call it, right? Your current broadband. So this is the whole thing, and then you've got all these 5G towers coming up, and people just basically adding numbers and saying, oh, this is this. You know what? It's just a coincidence. But more than that, right? I'll give you something else, right? What I feel. This is my opinion, so don't judge me. Since 2017, USA has been having this big thing. Now, we, the public, didn't even have any idea about 5G until last year. And the sole reason for that was when it exploded on news and everything, where 5G is coming out and all these conspiracy theories coming out, how it can affect, the EMP, XYZ, whatever, right? So we got all of this bullshit, right? But the fact is it came out because America did not want. Now, America did not want it. It came out on news. It came out on news very late. They've been fighting about it for a very long time because they don't want anybody else to take control of 5G. Now, you may ask, why is that? Okay, let me give you my personal views again, and exactly what I've been defending with. I've been telling people for so long, the guys, we've been using 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, right? For so long. We actually have no idea who is actually owning our data, who's seeing into our data, who's peeking in, right? We actually have no idea. We can only make conspiracy theories about it, but we actually have no actual idea what's going on. For the first time in life, I feel that I now know who owns my data. What I mean by that is 5G, if it is Chinese company, and if China is taking all the data, and I'll elaborate on that in a bit, right? So if China is taking all my data, at least I now know who to blame if something happens, right? So Chinese took my thing, I can turn around and say, blame the Chinese, blame everybody. But when it comes to anything below 5G, I have no idea who basically is taking my data, who's peeking in, who's seeing. I don't know what they're doing, how much money they're making, selling, and this and that. Now, what I mean by that, remember I said I'd elaborate on that later, right? Data is the current currency, okay? So all the big companies out there, once upon a time, it was like gold, remember the gold rush, then they had the oil rush, and so on and so forth, right? So they have a rush of everything, right? They have a diamond rush and you name it, right? So it's all about what makes more money, what is more valuable. Now, value is added on because obviously this is something, it's a commodity, right? So data itself has become a commodity, right? Whoever owns the data is king. Put it simple, right? So USA clearly doesn't want this data to go elsewhere because they lose control. It's a power struggle. This is one of the reasons why they're completely against it. But people completely see through the part where it's like the whole information is invisible, because you've got someone in a black box, which I like to call a black box, which you may also know as a TV, in a screen, in the fancy studios, telling you the news, and you take that for granted. Pick and choose, remember? Pick and choose, right? So they're always picking and choosing what they want to say, what they want to show. And I've always maintained this. I always say, the news, they never lie to you. The police, they never lie to you. The ambulances, they never lie to you. The government, they also never lie to you, right? But guess what? I'm not a fan of them. Why? Because the problem lies in human nature, where we see somebody as, a person of inspiration or whatever. I don't want to call it an idol because I don't believe in idols, right? So I'm going to say we see someone as an inspiration. And when we see someone giving us news, we may just, for whatever reason, we have some sort of an attraction or some sort of a liking, or even a voice. Sometimes a particular voice can be calming, or an authoritative voice or something like that. So you have all these multi things. This is all human psychology. So for me, when I hear something, I always hear it, but I take it with a pinch of salt. I'm like, okay, how much of that is, true? And I usually go on my own research regarding the matter. And I'll tell you a little bit about that on another video, something regarding the Pope, which is very interesting. But anyway, let's continue with this subject, right? So we've got 5G, the data, where the data will be going, and where the data, where the governments of the world don't want the data to go. UK has probably been the first country, from my experience, right? So I'm not sure about any other countries, because we do know that there's only a few countries around the world who actually have decided to go into 5G. So you've got UK, where the networks came along, and each one chose their own little frequency. I'm on 3, and 3 have turned around and said they're going to be using the 100 gigahertz or whatever hertz frequency. Vodafone are using the 70, so they're taking a different band, but they have to, because they can't all operate on the same band. This is exactly the same situation with normal mobile phones or normal networks, right? 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G. They take a band number and they stick onto that, and that's their network, so they own that frequency, right? So you've got people going around destroying 5G towers, but they have no idea about all of these things. They just think 5G is COVID. No, 5G is not COVID. 5G has nothing to do with that. By destroying it, what you are doing, you are ruining the communication. So what I mean by that was, there was this one viral video in some area next to Birmingham or Manchester. I can't remember exactly where it was, and they destroyed it. But those people suffered a lot, right? Because the network was down. Now, when the network was down, those people couldn't communicate. So are you saving lives by destroying these communication towers? Or are you actually more at fault of kind of ruining those lives? Because now those people could have needed emergency services or whatnot, right? And they couldn't get it because of what you did. I'm just going to say shame on you, because you didn't think. And that's where my argument has always been. It's like, everyone has the right to do whatever they want, or think however they want, right? They're not really thinking, but the thing is you have the right to do whatever you want. That's what I believe, right? It's my libertarian perspective. But what I also believe, and I also push, and I've been campaigning about that for a very long time, is everybody needs to, and this is a very big need, right? Everybody needs to start thinking for themselves. Question everything that you see, everything that you hear. Question me, for God's sake, right? Go and look for an answer. Go and do some research yourself. Don't go by some black box or Twitter or Instagram and this and that, or even YouTube, right? I'm telling you, question me, question what I've said, right? So that's the whole idea, right? You have to question it. Go and look for yourself. Get out of that box, now some people will say your mind is a box. Yeah, your mind is a box. That black box is a box. Get out of that box and go and see for yourself, right? And then have a bigger understanding of what you're doing. What are the implications? Every action you take has a reaction, right? Have you thought about how many, people you've basically put at risk by, taking down those telephone towers and everything, right? So that's one of the things. So I'm totally against it. There are plenty of people out there who have far more subscribers than I do, and they've all kind of gone ahead and said, oh, how's the 5Gs thing? And you know what? They got the followers. Great to them. Yeah? I don't care about the followers. I don't care about anybody. You don't have to like my video. You can dislike it all day long. I'm not here to rank it. I'm here to give my information. And the videos that I'm making, I'm literally leaving them public, but I'm only sharing them to friends and family. So I'm not even asking anyone to come on, right? You take the advice or not, right? It's up to you. Because, you know, I want you to think for yourself, right? I want you to take the advice for yourself, right? You know, I want you to understand and start thinking, okay, what is he saying? Has he got a point, right? Has he got these facts right? If he's got these facts right, and look, I'm driving, I'm not reading from a script, so all these facts are coming from my mind because I've done the research, right? So I want you to go and start doing some digging around and seeing basically if these information that you're receiving are true. So I'll give you a good example of that. The other day, somebody sent a message on WhatsApp, right? So I'm from Bangladesh, right? So everyone knows that. And someone sent this message that 200,000 people are expected to die in Bangladesh, right? Great, okay, it's just a picture. Immediately I questioned that, and I went online and all the Bangladeshi news outlets, you know, radio stations, you name it. I literally spent half an hour digging through that particular headline, and guess what? I didn't find anything. The only thing I found was 6 people died from, you know, COVID-19, potentially COVID-19. That was the only reason. So there was nothing about 200,000 people, right? So then what I did was I questioned a few of the people that I know who are also kind of conspiracy theorists and everything. And I sent them the picture and I said, is this true? Is this real? Can you locate where this came from? And the fact was that nobody could. And everyone said, you know what? Someone's just decided to post it on Twitter or whatnot and just get some hits basically. So, you know, this is the kind of behavior we need to stop because it's not worth it. It's got to be real information or none, right? For me, you'll probably notice that when I'm talking, I make my own video. When I'm not talking, I don't make that video. But if I feel the information is good enough, right, so I'll send it. Like my previous video that I sent, a lady speaking on the thing, you know, it actually came out today. Even the ambulance services have released a Twitter today saying, we know about the viral video, XYZ, viral thing, the sound clip, but please bear in mind, this is not real stuff, right, whatnot. You know, I don't need ambulance services to tell me what's real, what's not. The lady never spoke about anything. She's not conspiring. She's not got a conspiracy or anything. She just said, guys, you know, take the advice, stay home, wash your hands 20 times and whatnot, right? So she's giving good advice. What's wrong with that video? Nothing. It's not a conspiracy. So why would people think it's a conspiracy? You know, this is a genuine medical staff who went out there and who decided to tell people and notify people and advise people and kind of warn people. What's wrong with that? It's not a conspiracy. You know what? Thank you very much, whoever you are from the NHS who decided to share that message. You know, we respect that, right? And this is the kind of information we need. We don't need the news to tell us a week later that's what's happened. We don't want to know what's happened. We want to know what's happening, right? Or what will happen. That's the most powerful thing a media could do right now, is warn us, tell us, right? Inform us, you know? Those are the things that we need to look into. Anyway, so yeah, coming back to the 5G, guys, let's just stop this, right? 5G is not a threat. Now, what I mean by that, I'm using a 5G device, right, which I bought immediately as soon as the 5G, that particular device came in. It's a Galaxy S10 Note 10 Plus, whatever it's called, right, 5G. So I bought that device direct from Samsung as soon as it came out, right? So I've got that. I've also got my upgraded 5G SIM card, right, which gives me the ability to use 5G in certain locations in London, right? So I'm using 5G. And I can tell you this much, neither me, neither my family or anybody has been affected by COVID-19. I'm a user and you guys are not even using it. And it's the same kind of thing where, you know, people panic, like when, you know, this is quite funny. All right, let me go into this one. This is a really nice one. Years ago, right? So we used to have, you know, currency and XYZ, right? And it's something I've spoken on many other videos. I'm not sure if it's on YouTube, probably not on this channel, probably on another one. But years ago, I've spoken about this, where we've got currency. Now, at one point they said, you know what, we're going to get rid of currency and we're going to, like, not get rid of it, but we're going to start doing checkbooks. When people looked at checkbooks, they freaked out. They said, it's not real money, it's paper. You expect me to sign a piece of paper and you expect somebody else to accept that? So it took a long time for them to start accepting that. And even today, right? Even today, and checks been around like 40, 50 years, right? Or probably even more, right? Even today, people don't want to accept checks. It's hilarious, right? So, you know, some years later, you know, probably a decade later or a couple of decades later, I can't give you the exact dates because look, I'm not reading from a script, right? I'm driving to work. They started getting the credit cards out. Now, when they got the credit card out, or like, you know, a credit card, they said, well, that's not going to work. How do we use that? So you got that generation who panicked and who said, that's not right. This is not how we should do it. You know, people want to take cash and we don't know how to use it. And X, Y, Z, is it safe and all sorts, right? So it's had its kind of hiccups, you know, over the time where credit cards wasn't that secure, and now it's more secure. You got the chip and pin, you got all sorts, you know, which is really, really good. So it's the same thing where you've got something new and people just start panicking. The funny thing is everybody's kind of missing one small fact about 5G, which is actually a brilliant fact. People should go online, go on YouTube and search for 5G, 4G and 3G, right? Just put in 5G, the effect of 5G, the effect of 4G, the effect of 3G. Put those in and you're going to be shocked. You will find that before any of these networks launch, and that's sometimes years, sometimes 2 years before, you will find that some people have gone ahead and basically made a big issue about it. Literally a big issue. And that's the conspiracy theories, right? You know, these are the guys who are going out there. These are the guys with like 1 million subscribers or whatever, right? Going around and telling you, do we really need that? And has 3G affected anybody? No, because when 3G came out, no, we didn't see any kind of an illness. When 4G came out, we didn't see any kind of an illness. Now, I know somebody's going to turn around and say, no, we did, right? They're going to say we did, right? And they're going to try and say, you know, how SARS and all that came out. Well, I can go into that as well, right? So you got SARS, right? Which is severe, whatever, respiratory syndrome, whatever, right? SARS, right? Okay, that comes out 2002. Okay, great. Then we had MERS, which is the Middle Eastern respiratory system virus, whatever. So we had that. Now, I've got a bit of a problem with all of this stuff, right? So you've got, you know, bats going into, you know, people eating bats, and then the bats, some bats, the virus came from the bats, went to some next animal, and then from that animal, humans contracted it, and it's there, right? So, okay, fine. I understand that. But I've got a video on my channel, look, it's there somewhere, of the Wuhan market, and you can clearly see they do sell bats, but they burn them. They like barbecue them and sell them. Doesn't barbecuing it kill all the virus? I'm questioning that, because as far as I thought, hey, you burn it, it's dead, right? So that's one. Then we've got the MERS, which is the Middle Eastern, right, thingy, whatever. And it came from a bat to a camel and then to the people. But one thing you've noticed about the MERS is it wasn't that viral on the news media, right, your black box. It wasn't that viral on that. And the story kind of died out. Because I've got a question. Camels. Why would a camel come into contact with a bat? I mean, it's very weird, right? And then recently, you know, we've had COVID-19, which is SARS version 2, apparently. They like to call it, but yeah, okay. And they say how a bat went into a pangolin. How many people know what a pangolin is? Because I had no idea. So then I went online and I started searching for a pangolin. And I found pangolins. And I found pangolins to be in Australia. Pangolins to be in Africa. Did you know what I just said? Australia and Africa. Why did not COVID-19 come from Australia or Africa? Doesn't make any sense, right? So they got many species of pangolin over there. China don't have any. That's the problem. So China imports pangolin. So again, where did the bat come in contact? In Africa or in China? You know, or in Australia or in China? I don't understand. A pangolin is an anteater. It's an anteater. What does it do with a bat? What relation does it have with a bat? When does it mix with a bat? I mean, I'm really, really confused here, right? So these are the questions I've asked myself. I said, well, how can you justify that? How can you give me a logical explanation? Because one thing, I'm not a scientist, so I can't give you a scientific explanation to how it happened, right? Or mathematical formula or a theory, which can, it is a theory can become fact unless proven not fact, right? So none of that business. I'm not going against scientists here right now. But these are the questions that I've asked myself. Just ask, right? So you've got all of these kind of crazy stuff going on, where people just like to connect the dots. And as I said, I'm a conspiracy theorist, and I don't believe in those conspiracy theories. So, believe me if you want, if don't, but my request to you is question everything that anybody says, question everything that I've said, look for the evidence yourself, go and do the search. You've got Google, right? You've got YouTube, owned by Google, funnily. But you've got all of these things out there for you to gather information, cross-reference them. Google, when you do a search, you'll notice that millions of pages come up, right? Millions and millions. Go through the pages. Go through the first 3, pages that come up on Google. Go through 10 of them, 20 of them. Look for the similarities, right? So you'll understand that there are similarities. There's some people say something and some people say completely different. Don't worry about that. Put that on 2 different piles. All right, but then make one more pile with all the similarities. You're going to be shocked. Okay, you're going to be shocked on how many people and how much information there is online regarding this. Oh yeah, talking about online. So I was online and I saw something recently. Did a search. So somebody shared a video which had this search number on it. So I did that very search. I'll actually try and see if I can link it on the bottom. So they went to Google and they just searched this number, and what it came up with was a what do you call this? A patent for the coronavirus, the vaccine for Europe, and it was done on the 20th of November 2019. And then I also found another one which was actually 1994 in USA. And so I'm thinking, how did these or why would they have the patent for a vaccine? What's going on? And then I try and add them together and I say, okay, hold on. So we hear all these news coming in from multiple locations. Even mainstream media have also talked about it, right? They're talking about how China, the virus came from there. It could be man-made. Now, I'm not saying it's man-made or anything like that. I'm not going to go into that subject. But the point is they're talking about how it could be man-made, X, Y, Z. Sole reason is that China has been working on the SARS virus thingy, right? So they've been working with SARS. Now, if China has been working with SARS in some of their virology centers or whatever they call it, and they've been messing around with it, should we not ask ourselves a question? Were they trying to develop a vaccine, or were they trying to develop a virus? Because from the thing we understand, they already have a virus. So if they had the virus, what were they doing with it is the big question. Because you have to remember, every time one of these SARS thing, bat-related, whatever, hits anywhere in the world, it's them. It's always them. So in my opinion, I'm going to be a little bit more favoring towards the Chinese. I'm going to say, well, they're probably, because USA already has its patent, Europe also has its patent, which means they can't have the vaccine. So maybe they're just trying to work on their own vaccine. Has anyone actually asked that question? If you haven't, then you should. Anyway, I'm at work now. I'm going to get late. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave you guys with all these questions. And more importantly, as I said, think for yourself. Get out of the box. Think for yourself. Understand what you're hearing. Question everything. Reference. Double check, triple check. There's no harm. You don't need to. You can spend half an hour in front of a TV listening to someone. Do you know what? Take those notes and go and do the search yourself. It's all there, right? Nothing is hidden from you. As I said, nobody lies to you. They just don't know the whole truth because they get it part, right? Very important to understand. Thank you guys. Anyway, I'll catch you on another one. I'm going to go to work now and see what's happening. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.